on average, 15% of your web traffic is going to the order tracking page, which arguably makes the tracking page one of the most visited pages in all of e-commerce. So as an operator, I think it's important to understand, like, can you imagine just throwing away 15% of your overall traffic? And yet that's what, most brands are doing today. So at Malomo, we're helping merchants take back control of this experience from carriers so that they can use it to build their brand in creative ways. So using Malomo, merchants can move all of their post-purchase transaction notifications to their marketing platforms so they can completely control the design, the messaging, the creative of those, and use delivery events like in transit offer delivery, or even stalled in fulfillment or shipping delay to proactively trigger SMS or email messages to your customers, which typically reduce your CX tickets by more than half. And then as well, by reclaiming the tracking experience, they're taking advantage of all of that traffic to drive it back to their own website and reconvert excited shoppers by showcasing product recommendations, UGC referral programs, any marketing idea that they can think of to put in front of their customers. They can do that post-purchase, which ultimately leads to around a 3% reorder rate from marketing to those customers. So that's a very high level overview of Malomo. I'm going to pass it to Tara to talk a little bit about Loop.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here and to chat about Loop. So Loop is a returns management platform that allows your brands to optimize the return experience. And so by optimizing the return experience, you have an opportunity to create happier customers. And we know that happy customers are more likely to become returning customers. So I think you've all heard a lot about the shift in the conversation from explosive growth to sustainable growth, and of course with rising acquisition costs. So it's really a great opportunity for brands to focus on the returns experience, to look for opportunities to retain more revenue. And that's where Loop comes in. So we help brands to optimize their return costs, retain more revenue, and also to prevent return losses. Next slide. Yeah, and so we've helped over 1,800 Shopify brands retain more than 700 million in revenue. You can see our growth here from when we were founded in 2015. Some well-recognized brands as part of Loop's customers. Next one. But one thing I really want to stress is that Loop, we're more than a return platform. We're really focused on being your partner. So we want to work with brands to help them to optimize, like, how can they lower their return costs, looking for lots of ways that you can retain revenue on the inevitable returns journey. So things that you probably aren't thinking about right now, but we have features that help you to capture that revenue and change the outcome. We also enable you to prevent return losses and abuse. And then we support with capabilities to reduce return rates. So we're really thinking across all the different areas of the return experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Tara. So this brings us to our integration and why we decided to build this. So first off, driving sustainable growth is getting hard, and it's becoming much, much harder. So the average brand in 2013 lost $9 on every new customer they acquired. And unfortunately, that number has tripled to a loss of $29 in 2022, which is pretty alarming. Modern brands just cannot survive if the focus is always on driving growth through acquisition, like Tara just mentioned. But there's a pretty great silver lining that's happening right now. Profits from repeat customers are healthy and they're growing. So profitability from loyal customers has grown 35% over that same time period. So the moral of the story, if you don't have a plan to retain your customers and keep them coming back for more, you'll be in a world of hurt over the next few years. So what's killing your retention? We've got more trivia. So for $25 gift card to DoorDash, we've got two chances to win. The first question is, what percentage of your customers will you lose to a bad delivery experience? So again, drop your answers into chat. What percentage of your customers will you lose to a bad delivery experience? Closest answer will win. Okay, 50%, 78, 80%. Yeah, these are really good guesses. Some very cynical people out there. 98% Nima. Oh man. 36, 60. Okay. These are awesome. We're getting a ton of responses. Okay, last chance, going once, going twice. Okay, final answer is locked. So last answer I see is from Adnan. Okay, so the second question. How many customers will you lose to a bad returns experience? All right, ready, set, going. Drop your answers into chat. Again, closest answer will win. If you win both questions, it likely means you are either on the Loop team or the Malomo team and you cheated and you already know the answers to this, or you are just omniscient and can guess everything. Okay, 100%. Yeah, 100% couple. 60, 78%. Okay, going once, going twice, 500%. I love it. Okay, answers are locked. Okay, so the answer to our first trivia question, 84%. So 5 out of every 6 customers will not return after just one bad delivery experience. And then the answer to our second question, 33%. You will lose 2 in 6 shoppers after just one bad returns experience. So bad post-purchase experiences are wreaking havoc on your attention. Any friction that you experience after you buy can have a pretty dramatic effect on a consumer's perception of your brand and their future loyalty to your brand. If you think about it, right, Amazon, they make it drop dead simple to track, return, exchange orders, and they've spent millions, if not billions of dollars perfecting that experience. Loop and Malomo, we are just trying to level the playing field to help independent retailers compete on that same footing and deliver world-class experiences to their customers, and with the hopes of ultimately driving great retention. So easiest win that you can have to improve retention, simply improve the experience of tracking, returning, and exchanging an item. Isn't that's pretty wild to me. When the Loop and Malomo teams saw the stats, we felt like it was a no-brainer to attack this problem head on. How could we make this experience really great for your consumers? And so we're excited to unveil that integration today. Both our teams, again, are on a mission to help you drive sustainable growth in your business. And this integration is a pretty giant leap forward on that mission. So with the integration, consumers can initiate a return or exchange directly from their tracking page, which we'll show you. They can track their order, return, or exchange from a single integrated tracking experience, which significantly will reduce your where's my order, where's my exchange, where's my return support tickets. And then lastly, you can use the entire experience as a revenue generating retention machine. All right. And then lastly, before we walk through the demo, so we're so good at doing this together that you'll typically see a 27% higher retention rate using Loop and Malomo versus other all-in-one platforms. That's a material lift to your bottom line. Okay, so let us walk through a live demo. Cool. Okay, and we're gonna walk through Suit Shop's experience, go figure. So I'm excited to walk through this. So the integration is one click. So the integration is available to all Loop and Malomo customers. You should be able to see the integration on the app setting in both platforms. So one click integration, and things will kind of happen behind the scenes to make this work. So this is Suit Shop's tracking page, and this is an example of a package that is in flight. So I want to just highlight 2 things really quickly here. So Suit Shop does a great job. They clearly are showing the estimated delivery date for the package. And then they're using the tracking page to sort of prime the customer on what to expect when the order is delivered, right? Ensure it fits. Here's a great guide. When you click through, you'll see an article on how to make sure that your order fits correctly. Then do these other 2 things, right? Hem your pants, remove any tack stitching. I love this. It preps the customer on what to expect and what to do. And then they also do something amazing where they show their UGC, which, right, it puts the consumer in that mindset of that emotional state. that they should be experiencing with this new suit. Typically, it's used for weddings, but all sorts of other things. And so keeping that emotional state high by showing others enjoying the product, I think is really, really smart, right? It just keeps that emotional state high as they're waiting for their package to arrive. They got some other amazing things, but in the interest of time, I'll keep it moving. Once the package is delivered, customers will now start to see a new section appear on the tracking block where they can easily start an exchange or return if they need to make a change with their order. When they click that, they are looped into Loop's return portal for that customer. Now, this is pretty awesome. So when they click through, right, they don't have to go and search for their order number or enter their email address. We deep link them directly to their order, showcasing the items that are eligible for return or exchange, right? Seamless, frictionless experience. The whole experience is branded. Then they can go through Loop's incredible return or exchange experience. So let's say, the item didn't fit for me. It was too small. I'm a big guy. All right, at least in my mind, I'm a big guy. And I choose to exchange the item. I'll enter in the size and the fit, and I'll enter in the length. I can also click through and see the images so I know exactly what I ordered and see the different stylings. Okay, and I'm gonna go forward and complete that return exchange. Awesome. In literally less than a minute, I've completed that kind of return or exchange flow, having not left the experience to go search for where to return the item or go search for my order number. It all happens in one place. As soon as I submit that return, I'll see a return summary page, right, where I can print my label. And once I've dropped it in the mail, I can go and track my return. And when I click to track my return, I'm taken right back to the Malomo tracking experience. The great part about this is they can always go back to their original order, right? And if they need to make another return or exchange, they can do that. The return is also linked on that original order, so they can always go back to that order. And again, they can check the return status on Loop side. Okay, awesome. So that is the Loop by Malomo integration. Hopefully lots of excitement around this. We're excited about the integration. I think it'll do a lot to really help your customer experience and drive retention within your customer base. So now we will open it up to our fireside chat with Katie and Kristen to talk through some of the experiences that they've had leveraging the integration and some of the impact that it's had to their business. And so, Kristen, I'll start with you. Maybe you could tell us just quickly a little bit about Suit Shop. What do you sell? Who's your typical customer? What makes you unique in the space?
Of course. So Suit Shop offers affordable, inclusive suiting to own starting at $199. So we compete with most rental prices. We offer a coordinating collection of quality suits for men, women, children, non-binary folks, and just like everybody in between. So that's something that really helps us stand out. We believe that we're pioneering a new path for weddings, formal wear, and everyday suiting. We have brick and mortar stores for people to come in and have an in-person experience. All about the experience for us. But we also have tech-driven size solutions on our website that really help to try to limit those returns and exchanges we'll talk about today. And we also have a industry-leading broad size range. So we try to have something for anybody and everybody, along with our best-in-class service in this industry. So we try to provide a really ultimate suiting experience when someone's online. Again, a lot of times we're focused in the wedding industry. So we want to be as little stress as possible for someone who's already going through a really stressful and exciting time in their life. So it's a little bit about us.
Well, I did not know that weddings are stressful.
I have it in here somewhere, but fun fact is that, and Katie will probably mention, she was one of our first brides and I was one of our more recent brides. So obviously our experience has changed quite a bit probably throughout that, but we both have firsthand experience of what it is like to go through the process of suiting a suit shop for a wedding. And it's probably the
awesome.
least stressful part.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's so you
100%.
were you both employees at suit shop when you were going through the experience, or did the suit shop experience kind of trigger you to be like, I need to work for this company?
I was a customer first,
Customer
employee
first.
second.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a employee first. I was here for about a
Okay.
year and a half before I got to go through my wedding experience, which helped a lot in terms of my perspective in my position as well. Sure helped Katie a lot too for joining from the customer perspective. She probably came in with like so much that she could improve and has improved in the last like 5 or 6 years, Katie.
Oh yeah. The experience, of almost 7 years ago is much different today.
I can imagine. And then Katie too, your team has put a lot of emphasis on creating a pretty premium post-purchase experience. I'm curious to hear why. Like, of all the places that you could invest, like, why did you decide to focus on that part of the customer experience?
Well, I think first of all, no brainer. So they'll come back and purchase again, if they've had this first great post-purchase experience. But I also think we've really made the post-purchase, as you showed, a very beautiful experience that really represents who we are as a brand. Like, we are very high touch from the time someone finds us throughout the journey of picking out their wedding colors, getting their group suited, or just someone who needs help with sizing because they've never bought a suit before. So I think it would be a real miss if we weren't continuing that great experience after we've already, collected their money and sealed the deal.
And Kristen and Katie, I'm curious because you guys were one of the first ones to raise your hands to try out the integration. So curious as to like, what were the problems that were top of mind for you that you were hoping that the Loop Malomo integration was going to address?
I'm pretty sure I asked for this integration on my first demo with Malomo. Like, will this be a thing? Because I would love it. In general, when we launched Loop in the first place, our ticket volume decreased by 80%. Literally, it was a huge game changer for our customer service team. And I think, even though it's decreased that much, every day we still get those emails, those phone calls, like, I need help with my return, checking in the status, all of those questions. Even though we send them emails or have a QR code in their box that they can scan to create a return. I think that this experience has just added to the convenience and ease of purchasing with us.
Yeah. And I think Katie nailed the answer. There's not really too much to add there, but I think simply it was just a no-brainer. Katie even mentioned that she brought it up on her first call, but it was really a no-brainer. We were already seeing great success with these tools as an individual entity that why wouldn't we put them together to create a better experience? We've already talked about it a couple of times, but I think that customer experience is kind of the driving force behind everything that we do at Suit Shop. Marketing, acquisition, everything is all about experience. So I think with our customers already telling us that they love how seamless and headache-free it is to suit with Suit Shop, it only makes sense to continuously try to improve that. We are already so great at what we do, but we can only get better at the same time. So having something like this that works so seamlessly to just improve the experience even more, it just makes it a headache-free process for everybody involved. Our team, the customer, you guys, it just matched me in heaven.
Yeah, and you guys place that in a lot of different touch points, right? Making it easy to return or exchange. Mm-hmm. If you go throughout your website, a lot of the points in the journey are making it easy to do that. Tara, I'm curious to hear from you too, a little bit around hey, why do you think tracking for returns or exchanges is actually important to do?
Yeah, I think even if you think about when you purchase something yourself, right? It's when your interaction with the brand, it doesn't end with when the moment that an item arrives, because maybe you want to return or exchange. So every time you're having that interaction with a brand, you're thinking, you're judging, are you going to come back? Are you not going to come back? So I think it's really important to think about the full customer journey, not just from the point of product delivery, but what happens after that. And to make it as seamless as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really an opportunity area for brands to optimize this part of the journey, the post-purchase, the returns experience. And so making it easy, like Suit Shop is doing, like just delivers a really good experience. So it drives, customer satisfaction, makes them come back more, but then it also reduces the support tickets and the volume. So it's like a win-win for both the customer and the merchant.
Yeah, I love that. Katie and Kristen, anything you'd add to that?
I would say, like, if you're the customer waiting for a refund or your money back, that tracking really matters a lot. Either you're waiting for those funds because you want to purchase something else, from us, or it's just something that you need right now and you're going to come back later. I think that's really, the first step. And then with us, majority of our customers are in a wedding, so they have a specific event date that they're going to need their items for. So being able to track how quickly their exchange is going to happen, that's really important for our customers specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that we are not the only brand that offers fast and free shipping and easy returns, even though that's like a huge, like, we love to make that a selling point because of the industry that we're in. But to Katie's point, the event date specific, like shipping and return timelines are so critical in so many cases. Quick pro tip, if you're planning a wedding, don't order a suit 2 weeks before the event, and then you don't have to have critical shipping dates. But, that's just, my opinion. But I think Tara was mentioning, or was like, there was a note in some of our like pre-planning documentation about like the order, like ticket order volumes and things like that. So, in our busy season, when it's like peak wedding season, we're doing over 1,000 orders a day, potentially, like over the summer. So it doesn't make sense for our team to be constantly trying to give people updates on where the returns are, where their exchange is, where their shipping and stuff is, because Katie's team and the service team is already like so full to the brim, answering more important questions like, how do I pick my right size, or what color should I get, taking on customers in our in-person showrooms or our virtual experience. So it really allows that. And then on top of that, when we're thinking about like tracking returns and exchanges, not necessarily from just the tracking page perspective, but from the brand side of us seeing like the volume of it, I think of our co-founder, Jean, who is our technical designer. She does all of our size grading and making sure that the sizes work. So seeing how many exchanges are coming, and comparing them to like what we recommended in our Fit Finder, that data tool that we mentioned, for size, it's important for us internally to be able to see, like, do we need to make adjustments to the size grading? Do we need to make adjustments to our Fit Finder? And really, again, we talk a lot more about it, and we'll talk about this later, like exchanges versus returns, but to be able to give them everything that they need to not even need to make the exchange is great. But then once they do get to that point, we need to also be able to provide them with everything they need educationally to make the right exchange if they don't want to reach out to us. So I think keeping track of all those things is super important from the customer perspective, obviously for experience purpose, and then for us to make sure that we continue to improve the experience internally.
Yeah, I'm curious, Katie, as director of the customer service, like Kristen mentioned there, the support tickets, the volume. Do you know like the difference between the support ticket volume that is based off specifically around the exchange and refunds part of the experience versus like just overall?
It's around 50% or just over 50%. So it is the majority of the inquiries. And then second to that would be, why doesn't this fit? I think a lot of the exchange questions we get are also like, I need help because I don't know what to do next. So that kind of lumps in with those return tickets, but it's also I'd say the number one option selected in our IVR line when customers call us.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm curious as well, like we've talked a lot about like how returns are just a point of customer frustration, and just wondering from your point of view, like how you can reduce the lift on the team. So like how can brands level up so that we change from a manual returns process to a more automated one?
Oh gosh, when I started at Suit Shop, it was 100% a manual process. And I just remember, having to type in the SKU that the customer wanted to switch to. And, it was always a debate. Do we do just free shipping and exchanges and just hope that they send their items back? And or do we try to collect money, because what if it gets stuck in transit and then we're at a loss? It's really tough on a small business to do things that manually. I think that, the process is just clunky and leaves a lot of room for error.
Yeah. What was the turning point for you? Like, at what moment was it like, okay, this is too much to handle with the manual?
Definitely as we started to grow. It's interestingly during the pandemic, where a lot of businesses failed in our industry, we really strived because we were already shipping straight to your home and, having that good online experience. So once we really saw like the jump in sales and could use a platform like Loop successfully, it was huge. And it really ended up saving us money in the end, because we could wait to hire on more customer service staff, because, I said those tickets dropped by 80%, and really gave the team more time to work on other things. I mean, our co-founders, you will probably still talk to at some point in the customer service journey. They will answer our phones, but it let them really step back from having to do customer service so they could focus on other aspects of the business.
Even when I visited the showroom a couple of times in my early days, we were still kind of in the more manual process. And I remember we just like had stacks of boxes that were like, we need to put these in and process these people's returns. And that there were like some where I was looking at, I was like, they sent this back a month ago. What are we doing? So I'm not as ingrained in like the customer experience aspect of like being involved with like responding and processing these things as much. I'm actually the one that's often DMing on Slack, like, please help me. I think I did something wrong here. This, I can even see the huge difference in my time at Suit Shop, even though I wasn't there from like the very beginning, but I can even see the difference as somebody who had to experience like manually and putting the return and processing those refunds.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. So we've got a bunch of questions coming in to chat. So I want to make sure that we spend a little bit of time trying to cover some of those. And so there's a good question. Oh, well, actually, Mariah, why don't I pass it to you?
I was going to say, I've been trying to moderate them. They've been coming very quickly,
Yeah.
which is great. But I think the first couple of questions that came in were around the data that you shared, which I think really stuck with some people. So can you just share more information around like where those stats are coming from, if you have like the number of companies that were surveyed? And then Mark also asked any stats on the correlation between improved returns and functionality in the increase of return rate. So we might have dabbled in there, but just more context for that data would be great.
Yeah. So the stats, so Practical E-commerce did a study looking at Shopify brands. I believe they looked at tens of thousands of merchants and found that over half were seeing that level of losses in new customer acquisition. So we'll, I think in the follow-up, we can send some links to some of those articles, because I think it's really good reading for all of us in the space to try to understand like what's going on and what trends are happening. And so, yeah, that's Practical E-commerce was the one that did that study around the losses. That was where the question was directed, but.
Great. Thank you. Okay. The next one that we had come in was Lee asked, doesn't the warehouse receiving exchanges affect the exchange processing time? Meaning they have to make the return, they have to make sure the return is in good condition to initiate the exchange. So I'm not sure who maybe would want to tackle that. Maybe
I can tell you what we do, and we've decided to process returns and exchanges immediately upon delivery. So we don't wait for them to be processed or the condition to be checked. For us, it's like a very, very minimal percentage of items that are returned damaged. And it just helped the experience by doing that on delivery and getting customers their items or their refunds as quickly as possible.
and I think this might not apply for everyone, especially like CPG brands, that if there's like an open product, they probably can't do much with it once it's back. But Soup Shop, we do donate a lot of product, like hundreds of thousands worth of product, that, and a lot of that either comes from product that we've just pushed out, or if somebody does return something and it does have a little mark on it, and we try to not just put anything in the return pile that are in this like delivery pile, donation pile. But if somebody, it does get something on it, or there's just something that like you wouldn't want that in your wedding photos, like we have to be very cognizant of like the fact that a lot of the people, most of our orders are really going through weddings. So if there is something that's like a little messed up, or we can't repackage it, or whatever the purpose is, we do donate. So we do not do like we just don't throw it away. We do donate it to people who are like coming out of incarceration and need help getting back into their lives, or to young children who might not, or young adults who might need to be getting into the workforce. We have a few partners that we work with like that. So
yeah, and Loop has some solutions too for like instant exchange, where you can actually send out the new item before you get the other one back, and that's no risk to the merchant. So there are other solutions to shorten that time.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. The next one, Katie, I saw you answered Betty's question, but it was just to the host and panelists. So I wanted to call it out because I thought it was a great one. Betty asked, how much % do you experience in customer returns and exchanges in general? Katie, I know you had put the stats in there, but I think if we spoke to it on the call, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. I apologize. So our return for refund rate is 20%, and then our exchange rate is 36%. So we're definitely dealing with a lot more exchanges, thankfully for us, even though it's still the majority of our customer tickets that we're answering.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I'm looking at. So next question, John had asked if Malomo only works with Shopify. I believe they also work with Magento, and I'd put in the chat that we have our custom API, but there seems to be still a little bit of confusion. So Yao, or I think you'd probably be the best to take this, but maybe Tara as well. Could you just touch upon that a little bit in terms of, say someone isn't on Shopify, how they could still work with both of these platforms?
Yeah. Yep. So we do have an open API. So if you got a one-click integration with Shopify, if you're not on Shopify, you can build an integration. We've got multiple merchants who have built a direct integration, and we've tried to make it as simple as possible. So the load on your development teams is as light as it can be. We do have direct integration. I'm looking at the question. Direct integrations with like email platforms like Klaviyo, or SMS platforms like Attentive or Postscript. So those are also one-click integrations. We do not. We are sort of kind of fulfillment software agnostic. So our merchants typically use multiple different types of fulfillment software or warehouse software. And we typically can work with that. We use Shopify as our source of truth for data. So information that makes its way to Shopify will ultimately make its way to us. And then I'll pass to Tara.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I will add that Loop is focused on Shopify merchants. So yeah, you'd have to be on Shopify. But we do also have the integrations with Attentive and Klaviyo. So you can use those with this integration.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I saw a question come in and I've been trying to read it. So maybe it was more of a comment, but from Sharuk, it says, why not just be able to type the word return and then integrate the email to pick up your SKU number that you want to return? So maybe there needs to be clarification there, but if anyone feels like they could tackle that in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think we might need some clarification. If Shirk wouldn't mind dropping some more into the chat. Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, great.
Awesome. Love that happened. Great job. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think with that, we've covered, if I've tracked all the questions that came in, we've covered all of them. If anyone saw any more or has any last minute questions, feel free to send in the chat. I think we might be good.
I think I saw one come through. Is there a cost for the integration?
Okay.
So yeah, there is no cost for the integration. There's no additional cost for the integration on both sides. So typically, I think on the Loop side, you'd have to have the integrations package to work with some of your integrations. But we did work with the Loop team to get an exclusion from that. So no additional cost on either Malomo or Loop side to leverage the integration.
I just saw one come in as well from Lee. Yeah, it says, hearing so much about customer service, is there a way or a reason to integrate with Gorgeous or any other CS platform?
Loop
Yes.
has a great integration with Gorgeous that we use, and it is amazing and really helps answer a ticket quickly because you'll have your return information right in the ticket and you can open up the return in one click. It's great.
That is awesome. Malomo does also have a integration with Gorgeous.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions pop up. So I think we're good to wrap up. Okay.
Okay. Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us. Awesome, lively discussion. We got a couple of lunches on us coming to a few folks. Thank you everybody for staying engaged. Thank you, Kristen, Katie, Tara, for joining the conversation. Really loved hearing all the perspectives, and hopefully everybody got a lot out of it. And hopefully we'll be able to do something like this again soon. We always love hearing from merchants in the trenches, doing the good work. So thank you everybody for joining. We'll have the recording sent out to everybody as well. And if you have any other questions, again, please feel free to reach out to the Malomo or Loop teams to learn more about the integration. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.